Hey everybody, that's Pete. I'm Andy. This is Pete and Andy Talk Ski on your TV. And today we have David Wise, one of the most decorated free skiers in history. I don't know what he's doing here. Oh, I do actually. We're going to talk about Olympics. We're going to talk about, I guess a little bit of life and a lot about skiing. Dave, you were at the Olympics. That was an experience. Can you tell us? So from our perspective, there's all kinds of negative talk about courses and judges and politics and whatever. So what was your impression of the vibe, right? Like take us inside, Dave.
Yeah, so I was actually only on scene for half pipe specifically. I wasn't there for big air. I wasn't there for slopestyle. So I can't really speak to the vibe of those events other than what I saw, which was very similar to what you guys saw. The judging did drive me a little crazy. There were some things I wanted to punch walls about, and that is the nature. That's the nature of a judge sport. I think.
True.
I think the judge, I don't even know how to say this. I think the judges feel the Olympic pressure just as much as the athletes do. And if you think about it, look at how people who should have done very well crumbled under the pressure at the Olympics. I think the judges go through a similar process where they're like, man, this is so important. We so badly have to get this right that I think they overpressure themselves and then they totally blow it. I don't know. I never want to be the guy who's going to hate on the judges because I feel like they have the most thankless, difficult job in the world. They get paid nothing to go do a thing that nobody's going to be happy about their job for. It sucks. But there were some things that I was like, I don't know how.
I just think it's so decision. For me, right? Like usually at the Olympics, I feel like judges play the playbook. Like Pete, you and I have talked about this before, right? Where like it seems like there's a playbook and the judges just like almost regardless of what happens, like the best skiers win, and like who you think is going to get second gets second. And like that's kind of drove me nuts sometimes. We're like, like you guys, you don't have to do the playbook. Like I understand that Cassie Sharp's the best, but you don't need to give it to her sometimes. They didn't give to Cassie, by the way. That was just an example. Right. Cassie's really good. Anyway, and I feel like this Olympics, they did like the complete opposite. Like they completely rewrote it, and like scores were random, and everything was all over the place. And
I thought it was. Yeah. It felt really random to me as an observer. But going back to the vibe, having attended 3 Olympics as an athlete, I don't know if I'm biased in this way, but there certainly is a significantly higher level of pressure on the athletes. There's a lot more attention on the athletes. Yeah. And there's sort of this atypical pressure on you that is something you can't really prepare athletes for, especially the young athletes. It's hard to prepare. I mean, I've always considered myself just a skiing nerd. Like the reality is if I just take full ownership, I'm a freaking nerd. And
you're with 2 skier nerds right here too.
Yeah, we're all 3 talking right now because we're all 3 skier nerds. And when you go from being a skier nerd that people only care about during X Games and like maybe World Cup finals and maybe World Champs most of the time to all of a sudden you have 12 interviews in a row and everybody cares what you have to say. And if you say the wrong thing, suddenly you're a meme. That's a lot.
Or worse.
That's a lot to handle. So the Olympics always carry that extra level of pressure. Andy probably remembers I tweeted something silly. Well, I mean, it was really actually completely honest and not that bad, but I
actually don't remember, but
yeah, I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to remake it viral. But I made the same mistake. I was like, this is something that I feel like I should say, and I said it, and then all of a sudden the wrong
and you're like, oh shoot, maybe I shouldn't have said that.
And then I even had to do an apology and a retraction and all that. It was ridiculous. But I would say the vibe, the one thing that I can speak to this Olympic vibe, beyond what I just mentioned with all the extra pressure, it was like a really, really intense vibe. And again, I'm not sure if I'm biased because I've never been, sort of ever since Andy, you and I kind of had that. What you helped me into was sort of a mental strength revolution in my own mind.
Oh, interesting.
That was X Games in 2012.
Right.
And
I remember it well.
Since then, I've never been the guy who's very stressed about competing. And that's done well for me. I was never stressed at the 3 Olympics that I attended and competed in and won medals in. I was actually genuinely having a good time the entire time.
So real question, because I mean I don't know, so I'm asking too. So like why as an observer, for me, yes, you made a big. We're not talking about the Olympics anymore, but this is the way this is going to go. I feel like, you know what I mean. What helped you to make the jump, right, from guy in 2010, 2011 who like had a ton of talent, right, like endless talent, but really couldn't land high level competition runs, to all of a sudden in 2012 the switch flipped and you went on like literally an unprecedented run for 7, 8 years. 9 years, 10 years. It really, I don't know how long.
You said it well. 2011, I won practice every time. And it was getting so frustrating for us because I was always winning practice. But I was also always more intense. Maybe that's why I trended towards half pipe versus slopestyle and big air. I was always more of an intense human. I was way more dedicated to, I guess I always saw this desire that I had to make money skiing as something to take very seriously. Like, this is my job. I'm going to clock in and clock out. I'm going to spend 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, as much time as people spend in their normal jobs that pay them money. That's how much time I'm going to spend. Well, you can't ski 8 to 10 hours a day and actually recover. So I would do everything outside of that too. I would visualize for hours at a time. I would spend countless hours in the gym. I'm 6'1", which means that I have to be able to throw this carcass around and do dub 16s. I have to be really effing strong. I have to be really strong, which means I have to spend more time in the gym. So ironically, I was doing everything to be the best skier I could possibly be. But because I was doing everything, I was over pressuring myself in the actual competition. I would essentially tell myself, my internal dialogue going into these contests was, you have done everything to get here. You're ready. You just won practice yesterday. You should win. Now you don't, essentially what I told myself is, don't disappoint yourself.
Yeah.
And so rather than going into the contest, vibes are high, knowing I'm the best, and being excited about it, I was like, man, you're the best, you have to. So the catchphrase that I developed at that time and have carried with me ever since was have to versus get to mentality. So I was in 2011, I was operating out of the have to. I have to win. I have to land a run. I have to show people that I can do this. And then in 2012, a multitude of things happened in 2011 off season, one of which was having a daughter at age 21 and being like, yo, there's a lot more to life than skiing in a half pipe. Maybe I should take this a little less seriously. Then if you remember, Andy, that year, I had both you and Alana as coaches who had been there for a long time watching me ski. And I feel like your job that season was just to remind me how good I was at skiing. Dave.
I like to think I did that from time to time, but
yeah, I mean,
I'm also bad at that sometimes.
I'm sugarcoating it a little bit because you would never say it in those words, but because we're both analytical and we're both intellectual style humans, you would say that to me in a different way. Yeah, I think that I don't know, out of the years that you were coaching me, I can remember 5 actual straight up compliments where you're like, damn, Dave, you actually impressed even me today.
Oh man, it's funny because it's true. I am really bad at that, but
the stars aligning on that X Games really just, once I won X Games, it was like, well, I've done the mental revolution. And then
and that was the pinnacle of the sport at the time too. You know what I mean? So it was like, you didn't have anything else to prove almost. You know what I mean? Because you won X Games.
I think that it's important what you're kind of getting at here too is this is an individual sport, right? But having these coaches and having teammates and having a team, all of that coming together is what really brings somebody to that next level, right? You've got to have all those pieces in place. At the end of the day, it's just you that's out there, right? But it's all one big thing. And that's where it's like, when you talk kind of back to the Olympics, where it's like, boy, it felt like a big pressure cooker situation there. There's ways to mitigate that.
Absolutely.
Through any various, team members, coaches, whatever it may be, athletes as a whole together to make it feel like less pressure and to get the best out of any individual athlete.
Yeah. And that's what I got really good at after that revolution of 2012 was figuring out, okay, how can I orient my life? Because your point is amazing that only I get to ski the half pipe, but I'm there representing a huge team of people. And that team includes my wife, it includes my kids, it includes my family and friends, it includes every teacher that ever supported my career and gave me my homework on the road so that I could go. I don't know. I feel like coaches don't really play that big of a role. No, I'm just messing with you.
You're right.
I agree with you. I agree.
All right. Well, so let's bring this back around to the Olympics and
land the plane.
Because, I feel it segues in pretty well because the guy that, we want to talk about who won the Olympics was Alex Ferreira. And I don't feel like his journey was too much wildly different from the journey that you went through. Because we've honestly, like the three of us, we've all known Alex Ferreira for a really, really long time.
Really long.
So it was, for me, and I'm sure it was the same for you as well, like all of you, it was super cool to see it. It's just so came full circle. And I feel like very seldom a ski career does that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I do. I really do want to toot my own horn. I feel like.
Go ahead.
That's
what this is about.
He was one of the guys who was smart enough because Andy, I got made fun of especially early in my career. After I won X Games, people stopped making fun of me for going to the gym as much as I did. But before that, I got made so much fun of for not partying as hard as everybody else, for going to the gym all the time, for doing things like yoga and recovery and focusing on like cold plunges and stuff like that. Man, people just made so much fun of me. And then I set this new precedent with my career and my success. And Alex was one of the first ones. Again, this is a long time ago, but he was one of the first ones to be like, Dave does something different than everybody else. Yeah. And instead of making fun of him for that, I'm going to start adopting some of the things that he does. And so I kind of knew going into the Olympics, I'm like, Alex is going to be a force to be reckoned with because he's dialed. He's not going to let the Olympic pressure destroy him. He's going to go there and he's going to land at least 2 good runs. And
for sure,
whether that wins or not, that's up to the judges. But I know that Alex is going to go there and land 2 good runs.
Yeah, Pete, you've known Al, in terms of the whole coaching cycle and everything, I feel like you've known him longer and you probably saw that whole cycle more than the two of us, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. When I started at Ski Club Vail with Ilana, who I still credit to this day, so much of what I learned as a coach, I directly credit to her. I think that she's one of the best.
She
if not the best.
100%.
Technical half pipe coach, I think she's hands down at the top, But so yeah, I've seen Alex very young with young Aaron Blunk too. They were the kind of the Bash brothers back in the day,
That's a good name for them, I feel like.
Yeah, and I said it in the past few years leading up to this, this is Alex's because he's just so goal oriented, right? Yep. And you saw it. You saw the change, whether that was him adopting more strength training. I know he did a ton of road biking, all this. It was just this singular focus that you could see and kind of vicariously through social media stuff, right? But it was that's why going into these games, and I think the outcome too with him as the gold medalist is just I couldn't be happier for the guy because I think between the three of us and a greater community, we know how much time, effort, work he put in for this singular goal. This was the goal. It wasn't World Cups. It wasn't this. It wasn't that. This was the long-term goal. So to have him accomplish that, I'm over the moon pumped for him. You know what I mean? And Dave, a long road, right?
Yeah, I'm sure, Dave, Pete and I have talked about this a lot this year. I know that you watch every single show, so you're well aware. every single one.
I'm the guy who's sitting there online waiting for it to drop. Like,
yeah. It's tough. You have to wait a long time sometimes too.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, you know, we did not feel that you had seen the best of Alex Ferreira yet this year, right? Like, you didn't, like, his runs last year seemed like they just had another level to them, where this year it almost looked like he was holding back a little bit. And yeah, like, that's, you know, and that was the big talking point we had coming into the Olympics, right? We're just like, I feel like Alex Ferreira is going to pop off, and we haven't seen the best from him yet. And you know, we were right, but we're right about a lot of things. So I'm not.
You're always right?
Yeah. I can't really help it. So we're very slowly moving down through the line of questions here. So let's dive into some details. So Dave, there's a real, it seems like, debate here going on, especially, like, you know, circle around half pipe skiing is, what is with all the Tindies or the Cindies or all the things that you want to talk about? So you're, like, you know, literally in this. So what is like the athlete vibe around this? Like, do people want to do that grab? What is, you know, is that the only grab people know how to do? Take us through this, please.
Yeah. So I would say, so I can speak to this from a really personal stance, and I feel like that gives it.
Not that you've ever done that grab or anything, right? Never.
Yeah. Well, I can do a 16. I can do a 16 Cindy to the left, and I can do a 16 Cindy to the right. Have either of you ever seen me do a 16 Cindy?
No, actually.
No, because I philosophically disagree with that grab. I at the core of who I am as a skier, I choose not to do it.
Okay.
But I can't get 16 lead tail, or I've been doing 16 lead tail for a couple of years. I can't get it very consistently because I have to go like 18 feet out to have enough time to get that rotation.
That's pretty high.
Now, I'm 6'1". I feel like, you know, other people like Finn can, with a smaller body, can get that grab and get it around more easily.
How tall is Finn? You know what I mean? Like, how tall is he actually?
I think he's in the 5'7" to 5'6" range.
Okay, so he's not like Dumont short, but
no, he's not tiny. He's not tiny, but he's not big.
Yeah. That's fair, right? That's fair.
So that is a personal choice that I have made, and part of the reason that I can do that is because I've already won everything there is to win. And I choose to make a stand against the Cindy grab because I'm not seeking another podium. I don't need another podium to feel good about myself. When you are one of those up and coming athletes and you have a 16 safety or a 16, I call it Tafety, you guys call it Cindy.
I call it Tindy.
All right, sorry, I meant to say, if you have a dub 12 safety or a 16 Tafety, then probably do the 16 Tafety. But for me, I'm like, man, I can literally slide my fingers all the way up to the nose of my ski on nose mute when I do dub 12, and I can grab Tafety on 16. I'm going to keep doing the dub 12.
Tafety.
I like it. I think if you take the big zoomed out perspective of it, it's great how much we've seen half pipe progress, right? And I think in some of like the more progressive, like in FMI run and stuff like this, it continues to make the sport like it's evolving and it's exciting. And there are going to be the 16s and there's going to be the safety grabs and stuff like that. Like that, it's inevitable, right? I like your personal stance of like, I'm personally not going to choose to do it until I can do it with like a proper grab.
Yep.
And I think for where you are, like, you know, in your kind of age and stage, right? That's like a great way to go at it.
That's one of the things that I try to talk the youngsters through, because I do some mental strategy. I do some just strategy planning with some of the younger fellers and ladies. And one of the things that Andy, you did a really good job of helping me learn to do is, I don't know if you remember this, but you would always, when we would have conversations about strategy, you would always remind me to ski my strengths. It was just like, it became a one-liner. We had so much mileage in talking about that all you would have to do to even get me back in the right mind space sometimes is say, Dave, go ski your strengths. And so when I'm strategizing with these youngsters, I'm constantly trying to remind them, hey, your job isn't to adjust to what the judges want to see. Your job is to do what you want to do and do it so well that they have to give you the score.
Yeah.
But that's a pretty mature mentality. And for an up-and-comer who hasn't had any success yet, it's pretty hard to do that.
Yeah,
but I
it's
always
tough
tell
to
them,
make that jump.
Ski the way that you want to ski to the nth degree, and the judges will give you a good score. Don't do what you think the judges want to do, and don't do the same run as everybody else just because that run happens to be scoring well right now. Do a different run. And that's why I was actually really proud. I know Taz didn't have the success that he wanted to have this year. But he
definitely put down some good runs though.
Yeah, he put out some great runs, and he was enjoying that run. He was enjoying doing it. And it was like, man, huge win for you.
Yeah, I noticed that just from like the viewer perspective, third party, watching him in some of the events this year, there was like a difference in him skiing, right? And it was noticeable, but it was like exciting to watch too. It was great. And I've been there, mostly like slope style stuff where you like overhear other coaches like, we're going to need to do this right 9 that you're not very good at, and it's not going to look that good, and the chance of landing isn't that good, but we have to do this to get you on the podium. That was never my stance. You got to.
You just threw out my mentality right there. Have to versus get to.
Yeah, 100%. Yep.
And so I'll kind of bring this back to where we started it with the Tindy thing, and that's that like. For Alex, like, okay, like Alex did 16s and, he did the Tindy grab. Yep. Alex can do 16s without it, but he doesn't always get the grab, and he gets punished hard if, like he kind of gets it or like, let's go, whatever. And I think he, that day staying at the top of the half pipe made the calculated decision. Is it worth it for me to try to get a grab that I get 60, 70% of the time and don't really get rewarded for, or do I just do the easiest grab in skiing and win the Olympics?
Yep. And he won. Alex won.
Yeah, there's no question.
Alex won the Olympic finals because he had good strategy. And there is I will say, so, because you guys are interviewing me and I get to say whatever I want to say.
Well, are you interviewing us, Dave? How is this really going? I'm not sure.
I will toot my own horn and say, I'm philosophically against Tindy. Honestly, if I was standing at the top of the pipe and I kind of knew strategically if I do a 16 Tindy, they're going to give me 2-3 more points on versus my previous score just because it's something different than my Dub 12, I probably would have done it. I still want to win, and I still know how to win, and that's what Alex did. He knew how to win, and he executed.
Yeah. I don't blame anyone for doing what you're supposed to do to win an Olympic gold medal. You know what I mean? Like, if it was a World Cup or whatever, be like, okay, yeah, like, I'm going to, whatever, go take the high road and not necessarily, but literally you're staring an Olympic gold medal in the face and you're like, if I do this, it's going to change my life forever. You do that thing. Anyway, sorry, I interrupted you. Yeah.
No, I wanted to bring up a point. I am interviewing you now. I wanted to bring up the point, and I think that this is probably the root of what I was mentioning at the beginning of this TV show was how intense the vibe was, or how, like, it wasn't negative, but it was trending towards negative. It was like, man, everybody just is struggling. Nobody landed their first run. What is going on? Like, this is late February. Dudes should be landing their first run. Like, they've got a lot of competition experience under their belt by this point. Why is everybody crashing? And I think a lot of it had to do, we have to give credibility and credit to the fact that Finn won the Olympics on paper before he even showed up. Honestly, Alex was going to have a really, really hard time beating him. And then he had a catastrophic crash, and we all had to witness that. And that was the main vibe change. And I think that was the main vibe change in the same way on the women's halfpipe side was Cassie having a pretty similar level slam. Where we all know it, especially in halfpipe, the thing you're at the highest risk for is head injury, because you catch an edge and you mousetrap in the flat bottom, you're going to get knocked out. I mean, Andy's seen me get knocked out a couple times in the time that he coached
I've
me.
knocked myself out a bunch of times too, doing the same thing. So I get it.
We're all afraid of head injuries, and then watching two of the best get head injuries right before the finals was gnarly. And all of these dudes are there, and X Games is the one place everybody goes for broke. People go for broke at X Games. The Olympics.
X Games too in a non-Olympic year, but yeah.
But on an Olympic year, everybody is going for broke because they want a spot on that podium or nothing. And especially when you're in the maturity of your career, the reality is Alex and Nick specifically, probably Hunter too, but more Alex and Nick, those dudes wanted a gold medal. They didn't want a silver or a bronze. So they were going to go for broke. And then you look at the young Canadians who essentially have to go for broke to even have an outside chance at the third step on the podium. They're going to go for broke. The young Asians are going to go for broke too. So everybody was going for broke, and then they watched one of the best. One of the people, like one of the phenoms of this generation, go down on a right dub 12 and go to and get care flight to the hospital. Like, that's gnarly.
Yeah.
You already know in your soul, I'm going for broke here. And then you watch somebody take essentially what could have been, a career-ending slam. And it's like, man, that's the risk. It's high risk, it's high reward. It's also high consequence.
Yep.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think at the Olympics, it changes the vibe for sure. And that's probably a good indicator of why it felt that way. That could be at any event, right? When something like that happens, it's not easy to shake. And that's a different level of mental fortitude to shake that and then still go for broke. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
After witnessing something like that. And I think that's something that people forget too, or maybe just like don't know, but we're so much more of a tight-knit community that it's not like, True. FMI, who was slated to potentially win the Olympics, is out. You're not excited about that. You are bummed. That is somebody you spend a majority of your year with. That is like it's a hard one to handle, right?
That's hard to get over. And honestly, he was the person that I, as a skiing nerd, was most excited to watch compete in finals.
Literally took the words out of my mouth. Yeah.
The reality is, even though I am as stars and stripes waving person as just about as there gets, I still was most excited to watch spin ski.
Yeah.
And I was just selfishly disappointed when he didn't make final. Well, when he crashed, because I was like, man, now I don't get to watch him compete in an Olympic final.
Yeah, I went from disappointed to then like scared. You know what I mean? Because it was like, I was like, oh man, he crashed, and then you look at him, and you're like, oh man, that was actually like a real crash too. So it was not fun to watch on a lot of levels.
Yeah.
I will throw this out too. Like Hunter, he posted a clip of his slam in training during this super heavy weather. And then he posted another, getting his hip drained and a broken hand. I'd just like to give him some kind of like that mental credit, right? He had a lot of stuff that I don't think we need to go into ahead of the games, right?
Yeah, right.
So he's got all this pressure, then slams, but like, boy, he gets back up, but he keeps going. He is a competitor.
He had quite the ride there,
He did.
Yeah, and I feel like I would like to formally give him the People's Choice Award, because
for sure.
Nobody can deal with as much BS as he was dealing with and still go as hard as he did. Like, that is something that is unique to Hunter Hess. And so
he did not pull back.
I was just proud of him. I was like, man, you came, and you came for a reason. You knew why you were here, and you went for it. It didn't work out, but you cannot walk away from this not knowing that you gave it everything you had.
Yeah, literally he did not ski for fifth place. Yeah, he skied like he wanted to win, and I completely agree with everything you said. I mean, like, and other people did too, right? Like Gepper, like he could have, maybe gotten third, maybe even second if he had just put down his last run, but he went for it because he wanted to win. And I think that's super cool. So, but actually, Pete, let's put Dave on the spot here. Dave, what was your podium for the men's Olympic halfpipe final if you were in the judging booth?
Yeah, I'll say it, and then I'll give a little bit of qualification for it.
Okay.
I'm excited. I think that the beauty of it is that the right guy won. Alex,
I would agree.
He had the most complicated run. He did grab everything, and his execution, even though I harsh on his style a little bit because it feels a little robotic to me, it was a robotically, perfectly executed run, and he won.
Yeah,
that's easy. I'm glad we don't have any real debate about that. I probably would have kept Henry off the box completely because of a few things, which I will allude to later. So I would have put BMAX second, and I would have kept Gepper in third.
Okay.
And I feel pretty good about that. I've thought about
it. Well, first of all, Pete, do you agree or disagree with David Wise?
I agree. I don't like
completely agree
people on their opinions, but like in this case, I do see it the same way.
Well, number one, it's funny. I mean, it is David Wise, so if we disagreed, we'd probably be wrong. But like legitimately, like after watching the event, well, it's funny because like I called Dave after the event and we had a little conversation. But it, I still felt, regardless of what he said, that was likely true. So, Dave, why is that? Because and let me say, Henry skied awesome. His 16s were insane. Right, like that was.
Yeah, he won the 16 contest for sure.
By a mile. Like I was super hyped on his 16s. I'm super hyped. I hope he skis more half pipe. He generally doesn't ski a lot of half pipe. I want him to ski more half pipe. Watching him ski is awesome. But why would you have put him in fourth at best?
So I want to hype him up too as I'm discrediting his Olympic medal because
it's like what we do. It's story of our life.
He did something strategically that really is in my opinion is the reason that he got that medal. He kept it a secret that he had both 16s, and nobody knew that going into the finals, which I think was a wonderfully executed plan. He was the dark horse, and he ran the dark horse program so very well. The reason I wouldn't have him on the box, it's really simple, is that switch in half pipe, switch single cork 1080s and 1260s are substantially easier than switch double cork 1080s and 1260s. That's it. That's the amplitude that he had on his switch 12 and switch. I guess he did do a switch 14, but it was a single cork. And
did he do a switch 14? I thought it was a switch 10. Maybe. I could be wrong. I thought I saw switch 10, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. I don't know either. Maybe I'm wrong.
Not important. Continue.
Either way, that's what would keep him in fourth place for me in that particular contest, is because even though he's grabbing them well and he's doing a switch 1080 or a switch 1260, that's dope. But it's not a switch dub 10 and it's not a switch dub 12.
Yeah. Pete, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I'd have to agree, right? And if that's what the level of difficulty within the rest of the field is, and that's what you're comparing it to, right? Because we're ranking these runs against each other. It's like that. It has to count for something, right? And this is where it's like we're not gonna like rag on judges. We said we're not gonna do it. I'm like a little bit,
but yeah, we don't need to.
This is where you have to have this like true understanding of how difficult things are when they're linked together. Or the blindness of a certain skill or something like that. And that needs to be taken into account when you're ranking these runs together. And this is like, I think we went off on the last one about it, but this is where we need to do something to support qualified judges.
Yeah.
Probably more money.
Just more money.
What we were talking about is like, we need ex-athletes. We need people that have a true and a deep understanding of the level of difficulty and skill that it takes to put these things together so that it can be ranked well. So from us as the outside and the athletes and the coaches and everybody who cares about this can look at it and be like, wow, we had some qualified people who judged this, right?
Yeah.
Especially at the highest level. When you get to Olympics, when you get to World Cups, this World Cups, those are going away. It's all excellence league.
More on that later.
Everything else now, but like, that.
So
Go ahead, Dave.
I have an exercise I want to do with you guys.
Okay, well, before that exercise, let me say Shoot, do I remember what I was going to say now? You might. Okay, do your exercise, and then I'll come back to what I was going to say.
So let's rank the runs on paper, regardless of what happened. Where would you guys rank? So let's just stick to the top 4 to simplify it a little bit. But where would you rank the runs if they were done at the same amplitude in terms of what tricks were done?
Like execution, everything, all that being equal?
Execution is all within threshold. So we're just looking at, because that's how I approach things when I'm doing strategy with people, when I'm doing my Mental Giants mentorship program, is I look at it on paper. Okay, what is your run on paper, and where does it rank versus the other people's runs on paper? At the end of the day, I really think that. So I'll give you my opinion, and I want to hear your opinion. Okay. I think that once Finn was not in finals, I think that Gepper's run, even without the switched up Misty, still won on paper, because he had 5 hits, 5 directions, and he had an over the deck flipping trick, even though it wasn't a double.
True.
So if he was to do both switch dubs, both 16s, and the switch and the right switch right Misty 9 blunt, I think he could have won, even with that run.
I think he could have. So I like that Alex does switch doubles down the pipe both ways. I feel like that's extremely difficult. I feel like that is much harder than doing both 16s. And that's what I was actually. So this is what I was going to say. And Pete, I'm sorry. You can give your answer after I say this, because it actually ties in really well. I feel, and Dave, you and I used to talk about this all the time. And again, this isn't supposed to be a whole TV show about what Andy and Dave used to talk about all the time, but for some reason it's kind of gone there. Well, you need to plan your half pipe run around switch, period. Switch is where you make your money as a half pipe skier. And I don't feel like that's a secret, right, within the half pipe community. I feel like judges have gotten away from that. And I feel like the answer is because judges don't know half pipe skiing very well. And I understand, right? Like, it's a very small sport, right? Like, there's not a lot of half pipe skiers. And there's just not enough people talking to judges being like, guys, switch is really important. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just have okay switch hits and then have, great forward hits and win an event. That's not how it works. So that would be my answer to the question. I have, for the past 2 years, really liked Alex's run when he does both switch down the pipe double tens. And I understand that you did it to win the Olympics in 2018.
That was me winning on paper in 2018.
But but I would say that run still holds up to this day, because I mean, who else is doing switch down the pipe doubles, right? Like, both ways. It's really, really, really hard. So that is why I like Alex. Pete, sorry, go.
I think, number one, this is like a very interesting question, to take this one variable of amplitude and make that, okay, that's constant. Everybody's going exactly 14 feet out or whatever, because it changes the game. And I do think that Gepper's run, like you said, is wildly competitive. And I've said this throughout the years, or, the past couple years, as he's been coming in and he started doing the bone roll as the last hit. Number one, I love it as a single last hit. There's a reason that nobody does it. Same as Hunter's last hit, because it's scary, right? Yep. Like, it's crazy. And I've said this before at contests that Gepper's like won or podiumed at, where what happens in the run is he can't do that trick big. Yep. And I think we saw it in the Olympics, like he slammed going the biggest that he went on it, right? And had to get back up and do it again. So I do think if you take, I think if you take that amplitude variable and make it constant, then it's a winning run. The problem I have with his hit, and when he did win with it, is that it would be this grand amplitude forward, great half pipe run, and you get to the end and he would slow it down and he would squeak in at the end.
He legitimately speed checks every time going into that trick, because he doesn't want to land on the deck.
And I don't, if like, for me as like a judge or someone who cares, right? I don't like that. Like, I don't like watching you have to tone down your speed and amplitude to do this trick that's cool, right? But to me, that isn't like the overall makeup of a run. And that's why in a lot of cases, previous events, I was like, I don't know if that was like the winning run. I don't know if I would have gave it to him.
Yep.
Very interesting question.
And
I like
I'll
that.
I'll say this too, and again, this is getting way too deep into half pipe skiing. We're not gonna get to like 90% of the stuff that we wanted to get to, by the way. So we need to do another one of these with Dave and make it like 5 hours. No, but like, and honestly, this isn't meant to sound condescending, because Nick is incredible, right? He's a great skier, but the fact that he can't manage his speed well enough into that hit where he has the amount of speed that he wants, and instead he needs a speed check, is just like, he's not a natural half-pipe skier. He didn't grow up doing this, right? Like, you could do, an alley-oop hit, he could do his double 10 more up the pipe. Like, there's a lot of things you can do to manage your speed, so that
even
you don't
he could change his angle. He could change his angle very, like, the simplest, easiest adjustment would be, dude, just make your angle across the pipe more direct. Then you don't have to do that speed check. Then you're still holding an edge, but you're going more directly across the pipe, which means you're actually going to be going a little smaller on purpose on that trip.
But we don't coach him, and that's
that's level 10 pipe knowledge. Though I only know that because I've been playing this game for so long.
Yeah, and so that's, and obviously I give Nick all the credit. Like, what he did to transition from slopestyle to half pipe is really, there's a reason why nobody does it.
One of the most impressive things I've ever seen in skiing.
Yeah, but like, you learn, there's a lot of things you learn on that 15-20 year journey of competitive half pipe skiing. And that's one of the things you learn, right? Like, how to manage your speed, how to manage angles, and all that other dorky stuff that we really shouldn't talk about because nobody cares other than us.
We care a lot, and everybody cares.
Way too much, and that's part of the problem. All right, Pete. I'm sorry, Dave, and then Pete. Well, Pete, I know what you're going to say. Dave, Zoe or Eileen? You must choose one. Who's better?
Eileen. That's an easy. The easy, simple answer is Eileen.
Wow.
Because I like her technicality better. I like her grabs better. But I'm really good at.
So you like Eileen's 9 better than Zoe's switch 7s? And Zoe's first massive cork 5 that she does?
No, I was about to qualify my answer.
Oh, okay, sorry, interrupted.
I like on the tricks that she does. I significantly like Zoe's execution and amplitude better. She just doesn't have enough tech. The only way she's going to beat Eileen is if she ups the tech a little bit.
Okay.
And doing the switch right 9 was something, but not having either direction of a forwards 900 in the state of women's half pipe skiing right now, it was leaving a little too much out. And she knows it. She does a really good job of skiing her own strength. She skis her strengths. She goes huge. She grabs really well, but she's missing a significant portion of technicality, and that's just not going to fly in a half pipe.
I don't disagree with you on that. I do think 9s are overrated in the women's field, but I don't disagree with you on that. Big thing that I think is I like Zoe's run composition better. Again, dorky conversation. I don't like that Eileen does 9-9-7-7-5-5. To me, Zoe's run is more visually interesting. It's just a better composed run, right? Like, it, I know how good Eileen is. I know how good her run is, but I feel like to like the casual observer, it just looks less exciting. Where Zoe mixes in tricks and directions better. But I agree with you that Eileen's run is technically likely more difficult. Pete, what do you think?
You're speaking from like this podium of history in half pipe, right? Where that was like the run for a long time was 9, right? Working your way down. So I agree with you, Zoe's. Is just. It's different, I think, in a good way. I think her switch skills, to me, like, are greater. I think I'm like I would never take anything away from Eileen and what she's brought to our sport and her successes. I think what I am is a future Zoe fan, is what I'll say. So, like, if her first hit, that's that blast off 5, turns into a blast off 9, right? And we add some of that technicality that Dave was talking about, I think she will become unbeatable. I think she'll put herself with the kind of fundamentals and base that she has in her run right now. I think she's going to put herself into a league of her own within the next like cycle or a few years should she continue.
I hope she sticks with it for that reason.
Yeah, me too. And I think it'd be great for the sport as a whole, especially with that Switch focus in there.
This is me delving into the realm of things that most people don't care about again. But I would say I think Zoe is significantly better at skiing the halfpipe. Where her weight distribution is, her edge control, the use of the actual halfpipe ditch, tricks aside, is significantly better. And that's something that if Eileen was to listen to this, she would have to.
Does Eileen listen to the TV show? Be honest.
I don't know. Maybe.
You're supposed to say yes. We all know the answer is no.
She totally does.
Thank you.
Yeah. But if she was to listen to me even say that, she would have to be. One of the things I encourage most with people is just be honest with yourself. That person is even though you're still going to beat her 9 times out of 10, that person is better than you at one thing. You need to sharpen that one thing.
Yeah, I agree. So let's move on from halfpipe because I know Pete is really excited to talk about something else. Yeah. So who wants? I'm just going to throw this out there. Whoever wants to answer this question. Thoughts on judging the men's big air? Who wants to take that one?
You go, Dave.
I'm just going to have an easy answer. Maybe it's a little bit of a cop-out answer, but
That's
you
fine.
couldn't pay me enough. I'm not saying you couldn't pay me enough to do that job, but you couldn't pay me enough to want to do that job.
Yeah, it'd be a big number. It'd be a lot bigger than the actual number, I'm sure. Not just 1 0, like several zeros.
Yeah, you could pay me enough to do it and like reluctantly do it, but you could not pay me enough to want to do that job. It's so difficult. Partly, it's not that different from some of the other things we've been talking about. The judges' innate awareness of how hard certain things are, like bringbacks and swerves and Tokyo drift takeoffs and, mute grab versus safety versus tweak safety versus tweak Japan versus wrap Japan. The ability to know how hard those things are and judge them based off of difficulty and execution and style is so difficult.
So let me ask you this before Pete answers. What's the communication like right now between judges and athletes? How often do judges say, okay, guys, I know we've been judging, this thing like this, but we want to let you guys know that we're going to be making a change in judging, some different things. How often does that happen?
Yeah, so you're asking for some inside baseball here a little bit because
I already know the answer, but I'm still asking.
I'm probably not supposed to tell you guys the truth. The communication is actually pretty good. And last season, we met with them almost every single contest.
Interesting.
And I'm a strategist. And I know how to, I'm just being, I'm throwing myself under the bus a little bit here. I know how to, when I'm in a room with the judges and all the other athletes, I actually know how to shape the conversation to go the way I want.
So you took advantage of the conversation.
100%. 100%. Now, are the things that I'm fighting for not true? No, they are true. I was a big proponent for, rewarding 4 different directions of double corks and half pipe and stuff like that. So I think I have enough rapport with this sport that I'm not pushing my own agenda just because it's my agenda. It happens to be my agenda because I think it's what's best for skiing. But it's a little dangerous to have too much conversation with the judges because guys like me who have enough maturity to shape the conversation can really use that as a tool. And then the soft-spoken people who will never say a word in those conversations and they just listen, they're actually at a disadvantage. So the communication was good last year. And one of my feedbacks that I gave them was like, hey, every event's actually too much because I noticed that the youngsters were trying to shape their runs around what was said in the conversation just last week. And that was shaping, these conversations were shaping their skiing rather than their skiing shaping itself.
Yeah, and I think that's a very difficult line to walk. Let me just say this: the way that the judges deliver that information needs to be a specific way, and I am quite confident. I was not in any of those conversations, but I'm quite confident it probably wasn't like what you're saying in the way that it needed to be. So yeah. Anyway,
I will throw the judges a bone by saying that I haven't met a single one of them that's not willing to have those conversations and to learn from their mistakes. And
it's good.
Judging rule number 1. I mean, they even teach you this in the judging courses, is don't ever contradict the decision that's already been made. If you put somebody on the box, you can listen to the coaches and the athletes who are like, yo, this shouldn't have gone this way. And your job as a judge at that moment is to say, I hear you. Thank you for your input. But it's never to say, yeah, we totally blew that.
But well, because it throws a lot of other people under the bus too.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
so,
you shouldn't.
I will say that their willingness is there. And again, I just want to say, if there were judging mistakes that were made, which we 3 all think there were, it was probably partly due to the Olympic pressure and the fact that they were trying to get it. They were trying so hard to get it right that it almost became impossible.
Yeah, I think that's fair. All right, so Pete, talk to me about Big Air, because we've been sitting on this for a long time. No, I don't mean like while we're waiting for Dave to talk. I mean like for the past week.
Yeah, I agree with Dave. I think out of like, if I was to judge anything, I think Big Air would be the hardest and the worst one to judge. Like my kind of perspective on this is like, I look back to the past 2 years of Big Air events and what was being rewarded and the way that Big Air as a discipline in its own was being pushed. And it was very much a crank fest, right? That's when we saw 21s and we saw Leonardo Donaggio in the X Games with the 23 and all this, and it was being rewarded. And
that was Miro, by the way, but yeah.
Miro, yeah. Who did I say?
Leonardo Donaggio. He's also a good Italian skier.
Yeah, just a great name. I think I just like his name.
That is a nice name, yeah.
It does have flow.
I think that, one of the things that, judges are tasked with is to like have this like pulse check on the community and the sport as a whole, right? And which direction that it's going. And they can sometimes shape that, but they can also use just kind of like information community to kind of like build and get to a certain point of, this is what we're rewarding, this is what we want to see, this is the direction that the sport's heading. And I think at the Olympics, while I don't like necessarily disagree with how the podium shook out, I think it was just the wrong time to make that change in direction. You take the past 2 years of everybody going super ham, and it was spin to win and it was flip, and all this. And then we bring that all the way through to the biggest event in a 4-year block. And in the last 2 runs, we're like, actually, what he's doing is very creative and very cool and very hard, which I agree with all of that, right?
Yeah.
But now we're going to reward that at this, like, kind of in the final moment.
Yeah, change it up and reward that.
I just don't agree with the timing of it. You basically told these kind of a couple, especially Troy and a few others from other countries that are kind of Big Air specific athletes. You told them, this is what we're looking for. This is what we've been rewarding. This is what we're doing for 2 years. And then at that event, we flipped the script. And I don't disagree with the direction of it getting flipped, right? It was getting out of hand and crazy and terrifying. And there was, interviews at the end, Troy in specific, who was like, I am scared. I don't want to do this. Like, it's too much.
Too gnarly.
Yeah. And so I think I agree with the peel back, but
and I think
it felt weird.
I think what the two of you said right then go together too, because I think that the judges kind of made a game time decision, like, okay, we're doing this, right? Like, we're going in this direction because it's the Olympics, like what Dave talked about, with like maybe they kind of got caught up in the moment and all this stuff. And so what I'll say is I completely agree, Pete, with what you said. Like, I am, we live streamed this and said the same thing at the time too, right? Like, I'm good with the podium, right? Like, I'm good with the podium. I am not happy with, necessarily the timing of it and whatever. And this is the one big judging gripe that I have. And so in qualifiers, so to me, one of the new cool tricks, right, was the 14 bring back 12. We hadn't really seen that until the Olympics. And, by having Tormod win Big Air, we're sending this statement, less is more, more intricate is more, if you do something that's extremely difficult, but lesser spin, that's awesome. And A-Hall did, a 14 bring back 12 with an op mute in qualifying, which wasn't necessarily perfect, but it was really good. It scored 15 points lower than what Tormod did. And I'm just like, look, I've never done either, right? I've never done a nose butter bio or a 14 bring back 12. I have no idea. But I have a difficult time hearing that what Tormod is doing is literally 15 points higher than what A-Hall is doing. Like, so that's when, that night, when all of a sudden Tormod scores were going off, I was just like, what happened? Like, why is it that all of a sudden we've just decided that this is the hardest trick? Like, we can't just make, like, all of a sudden we're going to raise this guy up. This one trick, like, you can't do that. Like, if you're going to go with that philosophy, which I 100% support, absolutely do it. Less is more, intricate is more, then you need to reward things like 14 bring back 12.
Yep.
Am I wrong?
100% agree. I feel like we all three said true things. We're actually all three in agreement.
Which is not good for this TV show. We try to disagree.
We need more controversy.
It's a kumbaya.
Ask me a controversial question. I got to sign off here shortly, so ask me a controversial question.
X Games and Snow League are a thing next year. Are you going to do any World Cups? Is anyone going to do any World Cups?
That's a great question.
I know.
The rumor mill that's floating around is that you are going to have to choose one or the other and not be able to do both.
So
I'm hoping that that's a wives' tale, that's a myth. Because if I, as a professional athlete, could do X Games Tour and Snow League, then I don't need to go to any World Cups.
Yeah.
No.
Exactly.
That'd be great.
That's just the truth. Yeah.
We think that would be great. Personally, like on our television show Stance, like that'd be awesome. Have these high level events and get paid more and get insurance through X Games League and get a great staff of judges that travels through these events and make some consistency and come back to World Cups.
Yeah, I'll qualify my answer yet again. If I had to choose between X Games League and Snow League, I would just honestly pick Snow League because they came earliest to the party. It's like the first guy who stood up, and that was a huge benefit to me this season. I mean, one of the things that we didn't get to is what am I going to do next? Well, frankly, I'm training my ass off because I'm going to go to the Snow League finals in Lax and just have the best time. And it was so up. It was just it was so wonderful to be included in that tour because we got paid to be there, and the athletes were treated well. There was just like something that was it felt like the good old days when X Games, Andy, we would show up and be like, yo, this is how people who take the risk of dying every day to put on a show for you should be treated. And that's how it felt at Snow League. So I'm excited to see those two new tours. I still will, again, make my personal stance. I still will go to some World Cups, but probably not all of them. And that's just me. I have to acknowledge also, as poorly as FIS is run sometimes, they are also the reason that we're in the Olympics. And I am a 2-time Olympic gold medalist, and my life has been changed forever because of the Olympics. So I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth and say, yeah, these two new tours are cooler than you guys. I'm not going to show up. I'm still going to show up. Like, I have to have a respect for the sport and the roots in it. And for better or for worse, this is part of those roots. It's what got us into the Olympics. It's what we had to do to get into the Olympics, but it is part of the story.
I wildly disagree with you. I think that's the sunk cost fallacy, and I think you need to do what's best for skiing going forward, not what's behind you. But you're your own man.
Hey, that's good. That's good feedback.
I'm just, we're just friends here talking. But so
I got one more random rapid fire question.
Yeah, good.
Okay, Dave, I'm in Montana, and Cova has popped up like all over the place here. And I want to know more about it because I've seen it around a ton, and I think you're involved. I don't really know.
Cool. I'm involved. I'm wearing the logo right here. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Hey, can we get some gear?
Yeah, absolutely. Hit me up. Yep.
Do they want to sponsor a TV show? No, sorry.
Yeah, I will sponsor both of you for some gear for sure. Akova is the brainchild of me and some close friends saying something is lacking in the ski industry. We basically wanted to create a direct to consumer company that isn't worried about, like, essentially what we did is we took the retail markup out. So even though the clothes that we sell are similar in price to what would be a retail jacket, that's one of the comments I get. Man, this stuff is spendy. Yes, it's spendy, but essentially what we're doing for you as a consumer is we're providing, Arc'teryx level quality and, highest level quality at retail mid-level jacket price. So I would throw my legacy jacket that I designed essentially head to toe up against anything on the market right now in terms of quality and functionality. I really would, but it's not at highest level price. That's what we tried to do with the Akova. That was our launch point. That was our springboard. And essentially we're just playing the game as a company right now of continuing to show up and prove that to people. And we're now starting to prove it. It really is the best gear you can get your hands on because we worked more directly with athletes and designers and with a factory that has.
Well, I hope so because you are an athlete. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, highest level, but we have the highest level technical fabrics and stuff to work with. And so the biggest part for me as one of the founders / ambassadors was I threw a lot of prototypes out. And that's a beautiful thing because I got to design signature jackets in the past.
You've got to design a lot of things, and I've seen you personally throw a lot of things out. So I will attest to that.
And so one thing that I struggled with when I did my last signature jacket was I had to just settle at some point. And what we didn't do with the Akova is ever settle. To the point where, before I jumped on with you guys, I was talking to my business partner about, hey, this is pretty good. It's actually the best out there right now, but it could be better in this way. And we're like, all right, let's do it.
I would hate to run a business with you really because I know too much.
Shameless plug here. You really can't go wrong by buying yourself some Akova gear. And maybe Andy, we'll talk about. I'll give you guys a discount code so you can throw it in the description.
Some sponsorship opportunities for the
for the viewers,
the TV show.
Viewers. Yeah.
That's
Watchers.
cool though. I think that's super neat, and that's definitely what I've seen when I've seen it around here, like my local mountain and stuff like that. Is the material looks super, super quality.
Yeah, it's dope.
And to me, that's like kind of the only thing that matters, right? You're like outside all the time. Like it's there's the look good, feel good piece, right?
Yeah, it's got to look good, Pete. That's very important to me.
But
the logo's cool. That helps.
It's 2026. We got to have quality.
Yeah. And with that being said, I'm going to sign off because I have to go take my kid to an appointment.
Oh my goodness. You are going to big time us like this, Dave?
Home half the time. I got to go take care of some personal stuff. So
right on. All right. Well, no, we'll sign the whole thing off.
Be the last one.
Oh, it better not be. But if it is, we're happy with the time that we had, Dave.
Yeah. Good
to
job.
All right. Yeah.
Job,
thanks,
Dad.
boys.
Keep doing
Till the next
do.
one.
All right. Later.
See you, man. See you, Pete. And just like that.